In today's video, we are going to talk about server monitoring with Prometheus and Grafana tutorial. Myself Mohammed Zubair, and this channel is all about showing you how to become a highly paid IT pro really fast. So without any further ado, let's get started. Well, this is the official website of Prometheus, and from here we'll download it. So just click on this download button and it will take you to a new page. Before I download this, let's talk about what Prometheus is. Well, it is an open source Linux server monitoring tool that mainly gets used for the metrics monitoring, event monitoring, alert management, etc. And this tool has changed the way of monitoring systems, and that is why it has become one of the top level projects of cloud native computing foundation. And in terms of its query language, it uses a powerful query language known as PromQL. And in Prometheus, tabs are on and handles hundreds of services and hundreds of microservices. So this was a bit of intro about Prometheus. Now let's download it. Here if you see, here we have two drop down lists. First one says operating system popular, then its architecture. As we are going to download it for Windows, that is why I'll select Windows from here. And in terms of its architecture, you can go with any one of these. I'll go with AMD 64. After that, down here we have two files. This one is the normal one and then this one is the LTS one. It means long-term support. So download the one as per your liking. So just click on any of these links and it will download a zip file. I have already downloaded it, that is why I'll just click on cancel. Now let's go to Grafana and let's download it. So I'll just write here Grafana, download. Click on the first link as it is from the official website of Grafana. And here if you see, we have different operating systems option available like Linux, Windows, Mac, Docker and ARM as well. So before we download it, let's talk about it. Well, Grafana is a free and it is an open source visualization tool that mostly gets used with Prometheus to monitor metrics. And it provides various dashboards, charts, graphs, alerts for particular data source. And it also allows us to query, explore metrics, visualize and set alerts for the data sources that can be systems, different servers, clusters, nodes, etc. And not only that, with Grafana, we can also create our own dynamic dashboard for the monitoring and visualization. And we can save the dashboard and can even share with our team members, and that is one of the main advantage of Grafana. As we want to download our Grafana for Windows operating system, so just click on this option and then down here we have installer. Either you can download the installer or you can download the zip file. I will just download the installer because it is very simpler, because we just need to run it and everything will be done on its own. I have already downloaded it, that is why I'll again click on cancel. Along with Grafana and Prometheus, we need one more thing, and that is NSSM. Well, you might be wondering what NSSM is. Well, do not worry, I'll talk to you about it in detail. So just search for NSSM download and just click on the first link. Well, as the name suggests, it is a non-sucking service manager and it's a helper program that assists you in installing an application as a service. And it also monitors the application state and handling the failure as it runs. So here we have different options. For example, here it says NSSM 2.24 and then it says featured pre-release. Download any one of these, but I'll suggest you to download the latest one. So just click on this one and it will start the download process. I have already downloaded this one as well. So I'll just click on cancel. Now I'll go to the directory or the folder where I have downloaded all of these. So here I have my NSSM, Prometheus, Grafana and Windows Exporter. Well, we have talked about what NSSM, Prometheus, Grafana are, but we haven't talked about that what is Windows Exporter or WMI. Well, WMI Exporter is an exporter utilized for Windows Server to collect metrics like CPU usage, memory and disk usage. And it is an open source that can be installed on Windows Server using the .msi installer. And now let's start with the installation of our Grafana. So just double click on it and from here click on next. Accept the license agreement and click on next. Again click on next and now click on install. It will take very few seconds, so let's wait for it. We are done here with the installation. And now I'll go to my C directory. From here I'll go to my program files and I'll go to my Grafana labs folder. From here click on Grafana and from here go to config folder. And here we have a file with the name of defaults.ini. You can open it with your notepad or notepad++. It's all up to you. From here I'll search for SMTP. So I will just write here SMTP, enter, here it is. And here if you see here, host is localhost 25. And if we talk about the port number, let's search for it. I'll write here port and here it is. This will work on port number 3000. So domain is localhost and that was some of the information. I'll just close this one and let's write here localhost 3000 and let's see if Grafana works or not. So here you can see the Grafana is up and running. We need to see that what are different things that are available in here. For example, we can search for a particular dashboard. We can create new dashboards from here. We can import things in it and many other things. But we'll come to that later. Let's head back and this time let's install Prometheus. But before that, we'll install it with NSSM. So just open this folder, go to Win64 and from here I'll copy the path and I'll search for command prompt in my system. I'll open that as an administrator and I'll write here cd and I'll paste the path. Here it is. Now if I write here dir, here we have a file with the name of nssm.exe. We need to install it. So I'll write here nssm.exe space install space Prometheus space. Now I'll go back and this time I'll go to my Prometheus folder. Here it is and here we have a file with the name of prometheus.exe. I'll copy the path and I'll paste it in here. And after that I'll call my file that I'm going to install. Basically I'll write here the execution file. So I'll write here prometheus.exe. Now if I hit enter, it will install Prometheus along with NSSM and we are good to go. Here it says create service. The specified service already exists. It means I have already installed Prometheus into my system. In your case, it will show you a successful message. Let's just close this one and let's run our execution file in order to start the service of our Prometheus. So I'll just double click on it. And here if you see here, it says server is ready to receive web requests. I will just get out of this. And here if you see, we have a file with the name of prometheus.yml or YAML. So I'll just click on this edit with notepad++. Here we have some of the rules that are defined. For example, here we have a job name as Prometheus. And down here if you see it running on localhost 9090. And if you remember when we talked about Grafana, that was running on localhost 3000. It means here if this Grafana is added into this configuration file, it means you can access it from your Prometheus and both are interlinked with each other. And you also know that we use Grafana with Prometheus and we use both of them together most of the time. So even if I just delete this one from here, we will have no problem. But let's leave it as it is. Let's get out of this. And I just wanted to show you this. I'll come back to this file after we install our node extractor. I'll talk to you about it later. I'll just close this. Here is our Grafana, and here I'll write localhost, and instead of 3000 I'll write here 9090. Okay, here we have another 3. I'll just remove it, hit enter. And here we have our Prometheus up and running. Here we'll have all the graphs of all the matrices and all the information. If I go into status and click on target, here if you see Prometheus is up and running, and here we have the metrics of Prometheus. If I just click on this metrics, here we have all those metrics and all the information. And here if you see, we have Go, because this have been written in Go programming language. If I just come down at the bottom of this particular file, down here it says Prometheus metric handler request total code 208. Just reload this page, and here now it has gone to 11. Let's reload it again, and now it is 12, and I'll do it one more time, and now it has gone to 14. Every time we hit this endpoint, there is an increment in the metrics. That is why this value is keep on getting increased. I'll just get back, but before that let me just copy this line. Now let's head back, and this time I'll go to my Prometheus and I'll just paste the metric that I had copied. I'll just click on execute here, and down here we have our metric. If I just click on the graph, so here if you see we have some kind of graph in here. It means we are getting the information for our Prometheus in here. From here you can increase or decrease the time frame, and now it is on to 5 minutes, and here we have different information as per the graph that we are getting. So we are done here, and now let's head back to our folder, and this time I'll run my Windows exporter file. Just allow the access, and here we are good to go as says starting server on 9182. This is the port number where it will run, and as it is running and we have the port number, it means we can access it. So I'll head to my browser, and this time I'll write here localhost. Instead of 3000 I'll write here 9182. Hit enter, and here we have the matrices that are available and we can access them. And these matrices are of Windows exporter, and here you can see again we have some of the information about the network, different utilities and different functions, or you can say different operations that this particular Windows exporter matrices are offering, or they are giving the information. So it means we are good to go. Now what we need to do, we need to go to our Prometheus folder, and in our prometheus.yml file we have to enter the port number for our Windows exporter. And here what I'm going to do now, I'm going to create a job for my WMI exporter or Windows exporter, and I will assign its localhost and its port number. So let's just copy this job and let's just paste it, and instead of Prometheus I'll just change it to WMI space exporter, and down here instead of 9090 I'll write here 9182. Let's just save this file. So I'll just click on save in here, and now we are good to go. Let's close this one, and this time I will restart the service for my Prometheus, and here is our service up and running, and here our Prometheus is also up and running. Now I'll head back to my dashboard of Grafana, and here what I'll do now, I'll go to my data sources, because I need to import database, or you can say I need to create one. This is the default one as the Prometheus, or you can search for any other particular as well. From here just click on add data source and click on your particular data source that you want to add. Here it says data source added. So here we have to give the URL, so we know that it runs on localhost, and then port number which is 9100. After that down here click on save and test, and here it says data source updated. So we are done here with adding our data source. Now what we need to do, we need to click on import, and here we will import a URL or ID. Here I'll write Prometheus space node exporter space Grafana. Hit enter, and here if you see, here we have some of the IDs, and here it says 11074, and down here it says 13978. You can have your own as well. If you see here it says 1860. Let's use this one. So I'll write here 1860 and then I'll click on load. And here it has been loaded successfully. From here we have to select the data source. We have two of them and both of them are Prometheus. Select one of them and click on import. In your case it will be only one. So this is the first dashboard, or this is the first data. Now what I want to do, I want to import another one. Yes, I want to save this dashboard, and in here you can name it anything. I'll just save it as it is, and now I'll just give one more ID in here. This time I'll write here 405, and before that again select your Prometheus, click on import, and this has also been imported into our Grafana. Now let's get to our dashboards. Let's save this one. Let's click on save, and now let's search for our dashboards. Just click here and click on browse, and here right here node exporter, and here if you see here it says Windows node exporter server metrics, node exporter full. Just click on any one of these and it will open its graph. And that was all about the Grafana and Prometheus, and we saw that how we can install it and how we can set it up. And we also saw a dummy data that we can have onto the dashboard. Now I'll show you the live example of how you can monitor your servers with the help of Grafana and Prometheus. For that purpose, I'll be using Windows Server, and for the Linux distribution, I'll be using Linux Mint. So I'll just head to my Linux Mint first. This is my Linux Mint, and in that one, first of all, I'll install my Grafana and then I'll install my Prometheus. I'll not go into the detail of the installation process. I'll just install both of them and I'll just get back to you. I'm done with the installation of Grafana and Prometheus, and now I'll just show you if they are running or not. First of all, I'll write here systemctl space status space Grafana -server and I'll hit enter. My Grafana server is up and running. I'll just get out of this, and after that I'll just show you if my Prometheus is up and running. So I'll just clear my terminal, and this time I'll write here systemctl space status space Prometheus. After that I'll hit enter. My Prometheus is up and running, and that also shows that it has been installed successfully into my Linux Mint. I'll just get out of this again, I'll clear my terminal, and now I'll head to my Windows Server, and in that we'll install our Windows Exporter. This is my Windows Server, and we need to make sure that we install Windows Exporter in this one, because with the help of Windows Exporter we'll be able to monitor our server. So here I have my folder, I'll just open that one, and here I have my Windows Exporter. I'll just double click on it in order to run this one. We are done with the installation of our Windows Exporter, and now I'll open my Internet Explorer and then I'll show it to you how you can access it. So I'll just click on it, and to access it you need to have your IP address. And if you remember, when we were using it into our Windows 10, we were using localhost. You can use localhost, but it is preferred to go with your IP address, as it is more appropriate when you are using it into your Linux distributions or from your Windows Server. So for that purpose, I'll click on my internet, and from here what I'll do, I'll click on network and internet settings. From here I'll go to my change adapter options. Here I have Ethernet. I'll go to its status and I'll check its details. This is my IP address, which is 192.168.111.173. So we need to use this particular IP address. I'll just close this one, I'll close this one as well, and now it's time to head to our Internet Explorer. It is right here. Let me increase its size, and here I'll write http:// and then I'll put the IP address, which is 192.168.173, and after that we need to enter the port number, and the port number is 9182 in our case for Windows Exporter. I'll hit enter now, and here you can see Windows Exporter is up and running, and it is accessible at the same time. Now what we need to do, we need to make sure that we can access this Windows Server, or we can have all the stats, or you can say all the numbers of all the resources that are in used from the Windows Server onto our Linux Mint. Okay, there is one more thing, and that is, in order to monitor this particular server onto our Grafana and Prometheus, we need to make sure that the Grafana and Prometheus that we have installed into our Linux Mint is accessible onto our Windows server. How we can access it? Well, for that purpose, first of all, let me go back to my Linux Mint. This is my Linux Mint and here I'll write IPADDR. Basically, I want to know what is my IP address. And my IP address is this one, which is 192.168.111.172. With the help of this particular IP address, I'll be able to access Grafana and Prometheus onto my Windows server. But before that, if you remember, we modified, or you can say we customized our Prometheus.yaml file. We have to do the same in here. So first of all, what I'll do, I'll clear my terminal and I'll write here cd space/etc. I'll hit enter, and in here we have a folder with the name of Prometheus. I'll hit enter, and in that we have a file with the name of Prometheus.yaml. Here you can see, here we have a file. Now what I'll do, I'll edit this file. I'll write here nano space Prometheus.yaml. I'll hit enter. I'll get to the bottom of this particular file and I'll make sure to put my Windows server in here, and I'll also need to enter the port number for my Prometheus. So first of all, what I need to do, I need to paste another job in here. Here we are, and we have successfully added our Windows server and we have added its port number as well. This is the port number for our Windows exporter. So we are done with the configuration of our Prometheus.yaml file, and now we'll be able to access our Grafana and Prometheus that has been installed onto our Linux Mint from our Windows server. So I'll just press Ctrl X to get out of this. I'll press Y to save the changes and I'll hit enter. And now let's head back to our Windows server. Here it is, and this time what I'll do, I'll write here http:// let me maximize this one. And here I'll put the IP address of my Linux Mint, which was 172.168.111.172. And if you remember, the port number for Grafana is 3000. So I'll just write that here 3000 and let's hit enter. And here you can see it is loading our Grafana, and let it get load and then we'll access it. We'll create a dashboard, we'll import our resources, and then I'll show you that how does it look like and what are the ratings that we get for our Windows server. We are back, and first of all, what we need to do, we need to add the data source. So for that purpose, click on this gear icon and from here click on data sources. It will open a page like this for you. From here, either you can search for a particular data source or you can choose the one that are presented to you. As I want to have Prometheus, so I'll just click on this one and this will be added into my server. Okay, down here, make sure to enter the IP address of your Linux Mint because we are trying to access the Grafana and Prometheus that is installed onto our Linux Mint. Okay. IP address of Linux Mint was 192.168.111.172 and I have written that exactly in here. After that, scroll down and click on save and test to make sure if it is working or not. Yes, our data source is updated and it is working. Now it's time to have our dashboard. For that purpose, click on this 4 square icon and from here click on import. It will allow you to import your data source. Either you can enter the ID of your data source or you can upload its JSON file. Well, in case if you do not know what JSON file is, well, just search for Windows Server JSON Grafana into your browser, and from here go to the first link of the grafana.com that says Windows Server Grafana Labs. Just click on it and from here you can download the JSON file. Well, basically this particular file helps you to monitor your machine, as I'm going to download the one for Windows Server. That is why it will help me to monitor my Windows Server. So I have already done that, so I'll head back to my Windows server and I'll just upload my JSON file onto my Grafana. I'll just upload the JSON file for my data source. I'll just click on it and then I'll go to the directory where I have my JSON file. I'll just upload my JSON file and I'll get back to you. So after uploading my JSON file, here I have the name for my file and I have named it as Windows Server 19. After that, make sure to select Prometheus as your data source. Click on the list and from here I'll select the one that I have added into my Grafana. After that, I just need to click on this import button and we are good to go. So let it get load and I'll show you the live data for my Windows server. And here you can see we have all the data for memory, then we have disk space, used basic, we have CPU basic, and if you scroll down we have some other matrices as well. If I click on memory mem info, here we have all the detailed information about the memory. that is being used for my Windows Server 2019. And here we have all the related data, and at the top we have some other information as well. So that was all about that how you can monitor your servers or your machines with the help of Grafana and Prometheus. And we saw in detail that how we can configure our Grafana and Prometheus in order to monitor our machines. For that purpose, we used our Windows Server and Linux Mint. And that brings me to the end of this particular video. I hope now that you must have liked and learned watching this one. And if that is the case, please leave a like, subscribe and press the bell icon. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Till the next video, take care.